Item number 2, discussion and possible action to approve a proposed election services contract with Waller County Elections Administrator to conduct the May 4th, 2019 general election for the city of Prairie.
Question, City Attorney. So, we're looking at this item where it is to approve the election services, but we have yet to actually approve the election.
Right, so we're scheduling that for your next city council meeting. You have to have it called by, is it the 9th? I just gave you that calendar. Yeah, we just went through the election calendar with the city secretary to make sure that it's called by the end date, which I believe is on your next council, it'll be on your next agenda.
So, okay. So we have the call date, which is the council says we want to have an election in the city of Prairie View, Then there's the date to file, which is that need to be before, that's it, and coincides with the date you're talking about, which is the 9th.
The 9th is Saturday.
I don't think it's the 9th, I'm thinking it's the 19th. I actually have it here, the 15th. Yeah, last day to order the election is the 15th, so we'll have it on your first council meeting in February.
Is she here, or have you looked over the contract?
I have reviewed the contract, I actually made one minor change in it. If what you're saying is you'd like to approve the contract subject to formal call of the election, just to make it timely, you can make your motion that way. Is that?
Question, yeah, well, there's a couple questions, right? So, I don't know if, I didn't know if you were gonna present to us, or was the mayor going to? The process, which is, there's some, other than approving the contract, there's a cost, there's some things, we talk to JJ, we find out we have a budget amount, because usually we were doing this in-house, we had our own machines. Are we gonna include our own machines, or are we gonna include Waller County's machines? What is the cost to actually do this? And so, I see the contract, but I may have missed how much it's gonna cost. But I don't necessarily know if we can table this with them, or?
Do you want to do it concurrently with the call for the election, and then get all of your questions answered?
But I don't know, was there a reason, I guess, on the time frame of this? Does anybody know? I'm not sure of the reason behind the time frame, but if it would be a motion to move this to next agenda meeting, I would like for us to look into also adding that we have joint elections, due to the fact that Waller ISD elections take place, for the most part, citizens vote in purview, and then only can vote. It's not a joint election, being able to possibly vote for Waller school board as well, which is
So you're wanting it to be a joint election with the school board, and of course, if they don't want it to be a joint election, it wouldn't be, but you want to look into that.
Yeah, because they actually have, I was sending this to council, but I think since 2006, the city of Waller actually has been having joint elections where when they vote for council, they also vote for school board, allowing our citizens to do the same thing.
Yeah, so we can look into that in the meantime.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
Councilmember Randall.
I move that item 2 be tabled to the subsequent city council meeting to give opportunity to review having a joint election with the Water School Board, as well as to receive more information about the contract.
Second.
It has been properly, any other ratings? It has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye. 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 All those opposed have the same right. Motion passed. Item number 3, discussion and possible action on noise ordinance. Chief Solomon.
Councilmember, this is an ordinance that we came before you maybe about a month and a half ago. Councilman Jones wanted a chance to discuss it, maybe put some more things into it. We've now completed, we've had our discussion, and it's now just up for you guys to vote on. You guys have it?
Yeah. It's in the speaker packet.
And the only thing was really added to that, because we already have an amplification ordinance of noise. But what we were getting from citizens who live in these neighborhoods, people, students are moving to the neighborhood, and they're having parties 3-4 nights of the week. And it's just going on until, so we put a time in there from 11 to 6, because these things were going on up and down the street. It's not so much as the loud music as it was just the littering, the loud talking, a horn blowing, the loud music outside. We've had several citizens from several neighborhoods. And so this just kind of allows us to kind of take care of those things.
Chief Solomon, you said 11 to 6, do you mean 11 to 7? For the
Is that what's on the sheet?
Yeah, on the
11 to
sheet
7.
said 11 to 7.
Yes, sir.
I would like some time to look over it, I don't know, have all y'all had the opportunity to look over it? Okay. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem? Councilmember Brown?
I move that we, move the, noise ordinance, there's no number. I move that we move the noise ordinance to our next city council meeting, so
Council could have an additional time to look over it.
Second.
Yeah, any written?
I do. For when you so this is no different from the first time we talked, or there are changes to it.
There's been some changes to it, but it's no different of what we were trying to do from the first time. Councilman Jones first took it off and wanted to talk about it, so we had a meeting about it.
So the ideology is the same. It's just you
Yes,
just change
yes,
it.
yes, there's nothing changed. Council made some changes to it today or yesterday.
And the changes from the first one to now is what?
Just language, really.
So, yeah, so the only change, so the one I was working from is the one he's talking about?
Right.
Okay, so the preamble and all of that has changed just to use our law firm's language, so that's not anything substantive. There's a one-word change, I believe, I don't have it in front of me, in section 5.
Particularly?
Yeah, we took out the word particularly, because I thought that was restrictive and that it would make it only between the hours of 11 and, or it could be any hours and wouldn't legally describe the terms 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I took that out as being vague. Other than that, it remains the same, except for the preamble in the ordinance.
And once again, this is basically just stating that at a certain time from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. that there should be there's a certain noise level they can get to, and if the noise level exceeds and not necessarily level, that is going to be a fine that's not to exceed $500.
Yes, and we're not actually talking about a noise level as much as we're talking about a disturbance of other neighbors who are trying to sleep. It's happened, one of the homes that was happening, that was just constant, Monday through Thursday. It was the neighbors just complaining that they weren't getting enough sleep. Wake up the next day with beer bottles in their mailbox, trash all over their yards, and things of that nature.
$500 is always is been not to exceed.
Yeah, not
So
to
it's
exceed.
up to the.
To start about 2, and so, yeah.
Can we carry this? All right. So it has been probably moved and seconded to move item number 3. That's on the agenda to next meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed have the same right. Motion passed. Item number 5, discussing possible action to approve an interlocal agreement with Waller County regarding cost sharing for construction, improvement, or repair of a building, road, or other facility. I don't know. You have it. So last year, this was an issue with the city, not getting the interlocal agreement, not seeing it, and then after we did kind of see it, I had passed, and just, I guess God was talking to me to bring it back up again. We actually have to make a decision on this by today, which is basically saying that we pick the streets that we feel as though need work done, and we fill out the papers that are towards the back. We give to the mayor before the 31st. And as of 2018, we paid 25% of whatever the total cost is. After 2019, we paid 50%. After 2020, we paid 75%. And after 2021, the streets will ultimately be the city streets. The reason why I think this is important is because I think that we kind of had the idea that if we didn't bring it up or take action upon this, that it didn't necessarily go into effect, but not knowing that we actually don't quite frankly have any choice. The longer we wait, the more that streets will not be repaired underneath the county with assistance of helping us with our roads.
This is the interlocal agreement that we got last time. So with this, where are we at, I guess? We were supposed to, we're nowhere.
I know I know last year we held a town hall where I asked citizens to come that are more seasoned than I am to say what roads were once county roads and things of that such. I know Ms. Williams helped me out. Her mom had helped me out, an assistant. I want to say Ms. Pam did. Other citizens had came out to inform me about that. But since then, we have not brought it up for discussion upon the interlocal agreement. But I know that as you see on page, county will set requests for projects under this agreement until January 31st of each year for projects. That's on page 2, project requests.
The reason why, I guess, two things. One, we've asked for, we asked for a list of streets in the city of Prairie View that are city of Prairie View streets and county streets. From that, you're saying that we need to have a list of requests into Waller County to connect with the interlocal agreement that we've designated to be a county street, and that we're gonna do our pro rata share apportionment for spend. Now, do you have those 4 or 5 streets that we're saying that we all are gonna agree? I know that there's been some disagreement in the city of Prairie View and Waller County before, and so with the meeting you had, or are we saying moving forward, one, we have to get the mayor to sign this. 2, do we have the 4 or 5 streets that we are gonna identify that's gonna work under this share? It's kinda like we're going back, kind of backwards, but, I mean,
I'm sorry. So I think, I heard 2 different things from both of you. So are we trying to get an interlocal agreement with the county to fix county roads or to fix city roads?
county roads that are city roads that are in the county, like Owens Road, we keep going back and forth. That's how the interlocal agreement will work, but we have not established.
I mean, could you said city roads that are in the county, all of the city roads are in the county. Are we talking about?
But like Owens Road,
So Owens Road is a county road, correct?
that's what we've been saying that, but then, if
mean
you
county
ask
roads
councilmen,
Yeah, you
County,
got county
we're talking
roads
about
in the
county
city.
roads that are within, so I guess my confusion is if it's a county road because it's saying here, after 2021, we're gonna be responsible for 100% of the cost.
Correct. Of the county road,
Of
right.
the county road, right, so my question is, if it's a county road, the county should be responsible for it from now until thereafter.
I thought that a couple of months ago, we were discussing something where the mayors or somebody was getting together to talk to the county about this, because you're still paying county taxes. So if you're paying county
Absolutely.
taxes need to take care of the roads in which, where we live. So, I'm not in agreement
Right, so
with this local agreement. I'm not sure. I know we heard that there were people that were disagreeing with it, that were getting their attorneys to look at them and revise them or whatever, but.
That was
Can I
about,
say something? It might be in the city limits. If it's in the part of the county road, whatever's in the city limits, y'all supposed to take care of that in the city limits.
I'm
If you
sorry.
go outside of that.
I'm sorry, sir, we appreciate it, but
Okay,
this part of me is not open to.
Okay, I just want to throw that in.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, on page 3 at the top, the city may only request projects related to the construction, improvement, or repair of a street if the street is a city-owned / maintained street. So you are talking city-owned streets that you're requesting them to do.
So we're asking
Because you have
to
dual
help us with the
our
city.
street, with our own street. Because after 2021, they will not assist us any longer. That's the way of funneling us out of this. Yeah.
But we also need to get clarity about streets that they still don't want
Fix
fixed
their own
outside of
street,
that.
right. Yeah, but
Yeah, I
I
see,
mean,
but
do we,
I think
do
that's a
we,
separate issue.
yeah, I was just about to say, because, I mean, this would be the second year in which we missed even putting any streets up to
Right.
get fixed, missing up upon the opportunity. The question is, what streets have they ever? Which is,
I think we gotta focus on what's in front of us now in terms of picking the streets, because, I mean, we could talk about what we should have done in the past and, you know, the other options and what, but right now, we have the opportunity to pick the streets before it gets to January 31st.
If we just,
So I think we need to have a discussion about,
if we just, a couple months ago, a couple meetings ago, we talked about developing the road maintenance schedule. So I think this goes, you know, right hand in hand with where we're going in our direction of the city when we talk about a road maintenance schedule. Because, I mean, we have a year, a little less than a year to get roads done in the city with 50% of the county's help. So, I mean, what our part of the budget looks like is gonna be a little different, but, you know, if we can start that ball rolling, at least get those.
so that way we can get some assistance.
Right.
Because if not, we're gonna miss out. Last year was 25%. We would've just adjusted 5 streets to be fixed that we put up.
Right, we would have.
We let them vote to approve or deny, and we get a couple streets done. But now, we come 2019, and it's 50%, so are we going?
Because James Muse Parkway is a county road, right, Ron?
Right.
So, and then if they fixing this end of James Muse Parkway the way they gonna fix our streets, then they not fixing nothing.
Well, I think, we gotta look at a lot of the stuff, a lot of the issues where we fell short in the city of Prairie has been on our end as accountability. We went into agreements and we've started things, but then we haven't held people accountable to the work that they're supposed to do. And I think, you know, that's before me, I think that's been the history. We just haven't, or we'll vote for something and we never revisit it. I think we have to do a better job of following through and holding people accountable for what they say. And if we have this interlocal agreement, we can make it look like whatever we want it to look like.
So can we get with Mr. Glover and our maintenance guys to find out? I mean, they ride these streets all day, every day. Can we get with them to find out what are the major streets that need to be fixed in the city?
Well, we stated earlier that once we had a new city engineer, that was gonna be one of the initial projects, was putting together that road maintenance thing where he was gonna go through it and we were gonna create a needs assessment by the streets. We were gonna do that, we approved to do it with the road and the ditches.
Okay, so we gonna miss out on the,
No, this is gonna happen.
so real quick, I know since Kendrick is mayor pro temp, let's wait till he points to, the next person to speak, just so we got equal opportunity, but, for a plan of action, my question is, so we're getting to the crux of the information that we need. So right now, do we need to start deciding, you know, what streets we're gonna have. Are we going to, you know, create another meeting, a special meeting to present? 'Cause I know me and Councilman Jones have been riding around the city looking at some of the most destitute parts in terms of streets and roads. So in that time, you know, do we start bringing that up, or what's the process with this, with the interlocal agreement? Joe?
Go ahead, Councilman Brown Rowe.
My understanding of what we needed to do tonight was to vote on entering the interlocal agreement, which then compels the mayor to sign it. The second is, you're saying the proposal needs to be in by the 31st. And so are we gonna say what the proposal needs to be? And that can be the two streets that we can do. We can do that tonight, but I don't know what, that the proposal actually needs to come from it needs to come from the mayor, which is part of why all this stuff keeps coming back. So the question is, we need to vote on the interlocal agreement, which we can control, and then we can talk, since this is our only and first opportunity, because the 31st is on Thursday. And so we can recommend these are the 2 streets or the 3 streets that we want to get put into the plan tonight.
Councilman Randall.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we approve entering into the interlocal agreement with Waller County regarding cost sharing for construction, improvement, or repair of a building, road, or other facility.
Second. It's been properly moved and second. Any outrageous?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Has Ms. Sherry?
Ms. Johnson? Yes. Yeah, Ms. Johnson.
I'm sorry.
And Griffin?
Ms. Griffin.
Mr. Zeck has reviewed the agreement.
Okay.
So, my reference is, you talked about identifying these roads. Is that, are we prepared to identify roads tonight, or as long as we have that proposal by Thursday, I feel like that would be a good opportunity, as Councilwoman Williams said, to have, you know, people who travel the road. Unless, I know y'all been driving, unless y'all have roads identified.
But I would feel comfortable with Ms. Williams' assistance, talking to Mr. Glover tomorrow to possibly identify 5 roads that he would suggest to the mayor, and that the mayor could submit the report and proposal by the 31st.
And for clarification purposes, as you vote, you are authorizing the mayor to determine the streets in the agreement language itself. So just so you know, the agreement says, by approving and executing this agreement, city authorizes the mayor to request the project on behalf of the city's behalf. So as you work with the mayor before the 31st, just know that it's his, if you approve the agreement as written, that's authorizing him to make the final call.
You can change it.
But we could do that in the motion that's already done.
You could amend the motion. I have no idea whether or not the county would agree to that amendment or not by the 30, I mean, in order for you to have this executed, it would probably have to go to their board.
So you can,
Or just approve it for the year.
I mean, you can recommend it, and then it's up to him to.
Because he still has to bring it back, but our issue that we keep coming back to, he has not brought anything back. So the question, if we're talking about the 3 or 5 streets that you're recommending, that you, Councilwoman Williams, Councilman Jones, and Mr. Glover are gonna meet, who's gonna actually do the proposal? Because what's gonna come back when it's time to submit the proposal on Thursday, are we asking the mayor to submit it, or is your committee gonna submit it to the mayor and he's gonna approve it and move it forward?
I thought that we could submit it to the mayor and the mayor. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cause go ahead.
We can control, call for the question. That's it, that's all we can do, man. That's it.
All right, it has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed have to say it right. Any abstentions? Motion passed.
Yeah, what's up?
Discussion and possible action on policies for submission and processing of agenda items by city council. Since, I feel as though some items have not been placed on the agenda or inflicting our citizens with, power to hold us accountable to make sure that when they have a complaint of some sort, that's actually getting worked on by the city council. Was amended, I go section by section, and section 8 is basically saying that the city council agenda, be that city council turns in their items, the Friday preceding the week before city council meeting. So it's like, no, it's like this Friday, we will submit for the following, Monday, not the Friday before the meeting. And B, is basically saying that, when we hold written submission to the city secretary, not later than 5 p.m., at least 5 days preceding the convening of a special council meeting, which we already have that in place. Agenda package shall be distributed to city council on the Wednesday of the week preceding the convening of the regular, city council meeting. So it's basically saying we submit our items that Friday, that following Wednesday, the packet is done. And then you have you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday to review your packet and the information that is in there. Also, in C, this is allowing our citizens, any resident of the city wishing to request that an item reasonably related to the business and operations of the city or the interests of the citizens be discussed at a city council meeting may submit a request directly to the city councilman, the city mayor, or the city secretary, who may consider the request and choose to sponsor the item or placement on the agenda. So, just as we have heard our constituents' complaints, next meeting, council member could adopt what they had suggested, and in the following meeting, that citizen comes up to basically do a report with you upon whatever subject and issue that
So
may
they
be.
do what? The citizen does what?
That they could speak upon their own item, allowing them to speak upon their own item, to give insight, to give facts, to give more information with the city council member.
Well, if it's an agenda item, they can do that anyway.
Yeah, but
When they fill out a comment card, they just put they want to speak on an item on the agenda. They have the opportunity to speak on that agenda.
So I just want to, so is that any different from what Reverend Singleton, did when, cause his item was on there, so he came up, spoke about it, and we chose that, so
that's how it will go.
So you just want to make it,
I just want to have it in writing that it is allowed for the citizen to do that, because sometimes I know when we sit in here, we don't allow citizens to speak upon their own discussion if it was written in citizen complaints and things of that such.
But I'm not sure, but I think that's policy already. I think that's.
If it's
Yes.
policy already, then it just goes along with the policy. It's
Yeah,
not,
that's
not
what
a
I'm
judge.
Right.
But from what I was sent and what me and the attorney also read, it wasn't in policy already.
But I think the issue is that we just haven't been
Enforcing
or
it.
communicating that the opportunity is available to them. So, but.
All agenda items submission by a resident of the city must be written and must include the name, address, and telephone number of the individual submitting the item. A brief description of the agenda, that's set in place of what already happens. But as well as, don't forget, you guys, we complained about not seeing these, not hearing the information or not receiving any updates. And so with this, it allows us to receive and to get the same information in which they've already put on it. Processing of the agenda submissions, the city secretary posts the final city council meeting agenda in place readily accessible 72 hours. That's already a thing. The city secretary shall submit a draft agenda to the mayor, and the mayor shall have the final authority to determine the order and the priority of what is placed on the agenda. That is already a thing.
I want to comment on that one. So that one's saying that basically, as we already get on Friday, just reinforcing that.
Sir? Yeah, just enforce.
So I actually talked to Attorney Zach about that, and he said actually in most cities they actually don't do it that way. They actually get a lot more time, because when we get on Friday, we have the weekend, which means Saturday, Sunday, people don't answer the phone, businesses, whatnot.
No,
And so,
that was in the top part of it. That was in A and B, where they can.
oh, this is just to post it.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is just
okay,
to
it's
post
not.
it.
Okay.
All agenda items submitted in compliance with the procedures within the time period stated shall be placed on the agenda. D says if the item is not placed on the agenda, non-placement of any item submitted to the city secretary for placement on the agenda, the city secretary shall notify the person submitting the items of its rejection or non-placement on the agenda. So as we've asked for things to be on the agenda, if it's not placed upon the agenda, you get an email letting you know that your item is not being placed upon the agenda and why it's not.
On there, and for D in particular, it doesn't have a Y part. It just says the city secretary shall notify the person submitting the item of its rejection or non-placement on the agenda. So if we were going to talk about adding a Y, then that needs to be specified in the language.
We're asking the city secretary to do a whole lot.
And y'all don't make a job description.
I mean, that's who sets the agenda anyway.
Yes and no. The question, so our issue has been accountability and process. And this is trying to give us process. I think the main thing in this, you asked for to give us 5-day window, which gives us that time. But all these other things come back to, we never talk, it comes back to like, if your item is not on the agenda, it's not on the agenda not because of the city secretary, it's not on the agenda because of the mayor. But you want the city secretary to send you an email when she don't know, or he, or she doesn't know why the mayor just says, I'm not putting it on there. So how is that, do we need to flush that out more, or do you just want that, what is the action you want to come from?
My thing upon that action was because when we say, in the past, when we've asked Ms. Dickey, who sets the agenda? What does she say? She doesn't answer us. We say, Mayor, who sets the agenda? He doesn't say anything. So what it's saying is that our city secretary, which we email, who ideally sets the agenda, is giving us a response back upon that.